But it's a dicey deal. We're trying to be a nation of laws and a nation of immigrants. And we know that some immigrants do jobs that Americans won't do, but we also know that a lot of immigrants are put in jobs with the sole purpose of depressing the wages and cutting costs. And so we ought to be smart enough to figure out what's going on. But one thing I disagree with old Lou Dobbs on this immigration thing is, I don't see how any conservative wouldn't be for doing whatever it took to get these people to sign up, because we need to know who's here in our country. And if you have 12 million illegal people here, if 11.9 million sign up for a path to citizenship, they have to pay a fine, they have to move to the back of the line, they have to wait till everybody who's applied legally gets processed. It is a lot easier to look for a terrorist needle in a haystack of 100,000 than in 12 million. I don't think people have been thinking this through. It's also a lot easier to enforce our workplace labor rules once you have identified who is here. So I say that because all this requires thinking, right? There is no knee-jerk answer to inequality or to the diversity issue. And the third bigger problem is we can't keep generating wealth and expect others to get rich on the same energy economy that brought us to where we are, or we are going to burn the planet up. That's the meaning of Al Gore getting the Nobel Prize. Everybody figured that out. But if you treat it like castor oil, I will say again, we will fail. We have got to make this an opportunity, not just a burden. And I'm convinced if we did this right, it would lead to the greatest economic mobilization since World War II. But we have to figure out how to turn good intentions into real changes. One of the most exciting things that I do now, worthy of everything we did at the DLC, is do this work on climate change all over the world. Like the mayor of New York and I just announced last week that we were going to retrofit all the public housing in New York City. That's 11% of America's entire stock. Their annual electric bill is $500 million. That's their power bill. We get done, it'll be $150 million less. Now, it's going to cost a lot of money. You know how much it's going to cost the city? Not one red cent. Why? Because we have companies that we can pay handsome fees for to tell us how much energy we'll save if we do certain things. Then we have banks that will loan money to the city to pay for all this work based on the guarantee of the company that it can be financed entirely from the electric savings. And if they're wrong, the guarantor pays the difference, not the taxpayers. So we're going to put thousands of people to work. Some will be college graduates like engineers and architects and other designers, but most of them will be just folks trained to be green-collar workers in a city that has a lot of people who do not have college degrees and desperately need good jobs. And we are going to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions. We are going to create thousands of jobs. We're going to make life more comfortable for the people that live in those housing projects. And it's not going to cost the taxpayers one red cent because we're going to finance it out of the efficiencies themselves. We can do that in every school, in every courthouse, in every city hall, in every public building, in every manufacturing facility, indeed in every home in America. All we got to do is organize for it. And we can create millions and millions and millions of jobs. I say this because, you know, this is a decade's worth of work. And I hope Dick and Tunky and Hillary and I and all the people that we care about will be around to see us declare victory in this great struggle. But the main thing is, no individual is essential to this task. What is essential is the right purpose for the country and the right purpose for our activities and being open to new ideas and figuring out how to turn your good intentions into concrete results. You think school reform is the only problem we got? They just had a big conference in Bali, in Indonesia, about how we're going to have a new agreement on climate change. Because the old one, the one Al Gore and I negotiated, that President Bush rejected, expires in 2012. And bless their hearts, John Kerry and Al Gore hightailed it all the way to Bali. It's hard to get there from here. Just to say America wants to be a part of this. And everybody thought the greatest tragedy was the United States did not participate. But I kept waiting for somebody to say what the second greatest tragedy was. You know what it was? 170 countries signed a treaty that we helped negotiate, promising to reduce their greenhouse gas emissions by 2012 to 1990 levels. You know how many of them are going to make it? 6. 6. And you have to ask yourself, if you didn't know that, why didn't you know it if you care about this issue? Because there's too much focus on what people say instead of what they do and what the consequences are. And were these people dishonest when they signed? No. Were they stupid, lazy, and incompetent? By and large, they were not. They were good, honest, hard-working people. But this is a complicated problem, and nobody thought about how to turn good intentions into real changes. It's just like people with good intentions in education policy. Healthcare is the same way. I wish, I appreciate, was I called an aerobic listener? What I need is more aerobic exercise right now. But anyway, I was at your medical university, Children's Hospital in Charleston last week. And I had the best time because all those brilliant people came in. I saw all these kids whose lives were being saved. And, the survival rate for childhood cancer now is about 80%. It's amazing. And you all should be really proud of your network of children's hospitals and what your medical school is doing. It's amazing. But they talked to me about health care. And I made the following point. And I wish that Ed and I could talk about it. I said, look, you could make me dictator for a day. And I could design a system to provide health coverage to every single American that Ed would like, that the doctors would like, that the advocates would like. Everybody would love it. And we'll still be broke again in 5 years if we don't change the delivery system, 1, and 2, if we don't do a better job of keeping people well in the first place. Now, this needs thinking. There is no, I think about this a lot because I'm the oldest of the baby boomers. I'm 61. When we turn 65, for the next 18 years, there are going to be a whole bunch of us and less of our kids, relatively speaking, than in the past. The only health statistic where America ranks first in the world is in the life expectancy of people over 65. You should know that. So if you can get over that great divide, you are then in the oldest old person's population on earth. The average life expectancy he knows better than me, but for men it's something around 83 and women something around 85, right? Is that about right? Okay, that's the good news. The bad news is that if we use health services to the same extent and the same volume as our parents did, you can do whatever you want to the healthcare system. We are going to pose a great burden on our children and their ability to raise our grandchildren. We've got to do a better job of staying well. I saw one of your long-serving state senators, Senator Kay Patterson, today. He told me he was 76 years old. I swear the guy looks about 2 days older than me. We all got to look like that. We got to do that. We've got to work at this. We've got to promote wellness. Now, why am I boring you with all this tonight? Because this is what the DLC was set up for. This is what it means to be a new Democrat, going beyond party where necessary. This is what it means to say we've got to put the country back in the solutions business. There is no right or left-wing answer to what it takes to promote wellness, is there? One of my best allies in the fight I had against diabetes was Newt Gingrich. It was his token liberal issue. I used to rag him about it. But if you get people working on a real problem, Hillary helped pass a bill through Congress when I was in the White House that doubled the placement of foster kids into full-time adoptive homes. Her main sponsor was Tom DeLay. And he woke up every day looking for some way to hurt us. But he was genuinely committed to adoption. He really believed in it. So once you get people talking about some real thing that affects real people's lives, all of a sudden the phony differences fade away and the honest debate begins, and you can achieve, with a good idea, a common result that actually changes people's lives. That is what we're here to honor. This man has spent a lifetime running public service in this way. And